Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Alundra. We're outside of the coal mine now, and I guess considering that there's a landslide blocking the path back to the rest of the world map, the game must really want us to follow after those monkeys, so I guess we might as well oblige. I mean, I'm not really sure why, there's not too much we can do against an army of chaotic, evil, murderous simians armed only with a knife and a quote-unquote mining bomb, but you know, gotta do what the game asks of you. This scene is pretty goofy, I mean, check it out, it's all these monkey antics monkeying around, so to speak. But I mean, these monkeys just killed 4 of the villagers, so I'm not really sure levity is the appropriate mood to set here. This one I can't really blame on working designs, because it was presumably not translated in part of the original game. Anyway, this looks an awful lot like a dungeon. Big dungeon. But we're gonna fight Murgg in this one. Really big dungeon. Okay, we get it. The tree is huge. Can we get back to the exploration part of the game yet? Can we actually go there? As it turns out, we can climb up this little scaffolding, which the game actually does automatically. It's part of the cutscene. But there's not a lot we can do here. The only building we can enter is this little shed, and there's this one switch, which, like everything else in this game, is rusted shut. So fine, I didn't want to explore your stupid dungeon anyway. Let's get the heck out of here. Man, what a tease. Anyway, moving back to where the coal mine was, we find that, conveniently right this second, Jess, Klein, and the rest of the villagers have cleared out the rock slide. Klein to the theory that the mine and the woods are connected, and there's a hidden entrance right here, like the hidden entrance very poorly hidden right behind me. Absolutely freaking brilliant. Anyway, you know how in a lot of RPGs, the villagers and the various NPCs tend to be inexplicably ahead of you no matter how hard it was to get to wherever it was you were going, and always know exactly what you're doing, even immediately after you did it? This is like the exact opposite of that. They found out there's a secret passage to the Murgg woods, and that all the miners died basically right after you did. They're like a step behind, no matter what you do. Anyway, there's a ledge up here, we can't really get up there yet. I'm going to lead you at least back to the part where this reconnects to some of the screens that we've already seen when we play our lawnmower sim. This little area of the world map can still be considered part of the introductory area of the game. We're still fighting nothing more challenging than slimes. I don't believe the overworld enemies changed substantially over the course of the game. Check this out. There's a headless statue of some kind of knight or king or something. This is actually fairly important. We have very good reason to come back here later. As it turns out, this is the game's easy mode, so to speak. If you've died 16 times or more at any point in the game, you'll be able to visit that statue. There's a rock in the way that we can't lift yet. We'll need the Power Glove item to get in there, I believe. In any case, if you've died 16 or more times and explicitly decided to continue the game using the retry option at the game over screen, the game will give you the most powerful melee weapon in the game, the legendary sword. We will obviously not be doing that because it makes the game absurdly easy except for certain boss fights, and it also supersedes any other sword you can pick up in the game, making the rest of the sword pickups in the game basically worthless. Anyway, you can see now that we've returned to where the coal mine is, let's just skip back to Anoa Village, and here we are. First things first, go back and save our game, assuming the game allows us, and the game has an odd habit of not allowing us to do that, and this is definitely one of those times. This is Sierra, Sybil, the creepy girl's mother. Her daughter's driving her crazy. Have you considered, Sierra, that your daughter actually is crazy? We've actually been told by Septimus that Sybil's one of the people... Sybil, the daughter, is one of the people who's legitimately plagued by some of the dream problems that have been facing the village in recent months. So, maybe Sierra should be a little more... I don't know. Check it out, she's got creepy red eyes. That's really crazy. Really scary on a sprite like that. Anyway, let's play along, I suppose, and see what this whole prophecy thing is all about. See how accurate she actually is and how vivid her dreams are. And as it turns out, they're extremely vivid. It's Klein again, the hunter. I don't know how that worked. He went down the bottom part of the screen and came down the top. You can hear the sounds of wolves in the background. That's not part of the normal background music, unlike the gunshot and the woman screaming. So something's going on here. Come on, Klein, use your crazy teleporting powers. Where's he gonna come up? Where's he gonna appear this time? He can't. Oh no, he came back the way he was. from the direction he went up the stairs from in the first place. No, Klein. You are the monsters. And then Klein was a werewolf. For no particular reason. But I mean, this sort of gives you the impression this is how things would really work if your village was actually plagued by a pissed-off Dark Elder God. All the crazy things that would happen that have basically no connection to one another, like being attacked by monkeys and earthquakes and turning into werewolves and crazy dreams and things exploding. And oh yeah, this is another thing. The purpose of this little portion of the prophetic dream is to tell you that Melzus is working with the Murgg, but we already knew that from meeting Zazon in the mine, meaning that just like Klein, even the freaking girl who can tell the future in her dreams is still about half an hour behind the rest of us. This scene, however, is actually legitimately interesting. Notice that this is the same shit that we saw at the Murgg tree, and that looks like one of the children, Nestus or Burgess. These are Mead's kids, and that is definitely, in case you recognize the noise, the Murgg jumping into the dream world through one of the twins, which is substantial foreshadowing for a point in the game that I'm not going to give away just yet. Probably the most important thing we learned during this little dream sequence. And that's the end of that. Yes, I would be... maybe we want to talk to Mead and his wife. That seems kind of important. But no, there's no real incentive to do that, and I don't believe there's any special dialogue if you do. So the only thing to do here is to go back and talk to Sierra and see if we can regain access to our house. Yes, how cute. She's a lovely child. Mother of the freaking year. Anyway, Jess has a much nicer delivery for us this time. While the first miner, dying, provoked Jess to make us a bomb, this time all he has for us is some flowers. Creature near the cemetery, that doesn't really come up during this particular chapter. I'm not really sure what he's referring to. Flowers, they smell nice. How cute. This is not an inventory item. It's just a reason for us to go to the cemetery and trigger the next portion of the cutscene. Because realistically, if we were a hero worth our salt, as I said during one of the earlier episodes, what we really should be doing is taking care of the one girl who blows things up when she falls asleep, which seems like it would be rather pressing, all things considered. But first, we have an errand to run. Jess has sent us to the cemetery to deposit some flowers on Olin's grave. As it turns out, the other 3 miners have been buried. Ludus and the rest found them while they were looking for us in the coal mine, and made them to nice graves. Jalen had a passion for life. What's this guy? Zane Lyman loved his work, we don't know why. Ha, that's funny! Remember when this is supposed to be a serious scene? Well, the translator certainly didn't. And I realize I'm being a bit of a hypocrite by adding commentary like this. Anyway, Alundra will automatically dump the flowers, and apparently they will clip over him when he bows down to pay his remembrances. But more importantly, it turns to night. There's a slight sort of shading of the graphics, and we are being psychically contacted again. This time, this is obviously Lars, once again. He refers to us by the same name, the Releaser. He will continue while we, mow the lawn, to call us to come here over and over and over again, even when you're standing right in front of this little door. Obviously, we could not have come in here before. We need to trigger this cutscene to gain access, and this will give us access to... probably should have cut this loading screen out. Lars Crypt. As I said, Lars is already dead. He lives in a tomb, or appears in a tomb anyway. This is the game's first sort of puzzle-based dungeon. It's significantly more difficult than the coal mine. The kids' gloves are definitely coming off at this point in the game. Keeping in mind that we are still in what I consider to be the introductory stages of the game, meaning the fact that this dungeon is as difficult as it is speaks very well to the quality of the puzzles we're going to be facing in the rest of the game. Right away, we've got a very elementary word puzzle. We've got these 5 saints, and they each give us a slight clue as to which is to be a more respected teacher, so to speak. See, Blue never listens to the teachers of Saint Green, meaning Blue is a better teacher than Green. And this is White, his teachings surpass all others, and so on and so forth. Naturally, since they're ghosts in an RPG puzzle, they never lie, they're always 100% accurate, except when they're slightly mistranslated. And that is somewhat the case here, because it's a bit difficult in certain situations, like for example this one, Red's teaching is the foundation of Green, to tell you which direction they're supposed to go. That basically means, I believe, that Red comes ahead of Green, but you might be willing to interpret it as Red's teachings are less sort of complicated than Green, meaning Green is a better teacher. They tried to be, I guess, sort of versatile in the way they phrase the various clues, but in reality it just sort of confuses the matter. Realistically, it feels like basically every line in the game was translated in a complete vacuum without any regard for context, and it causes a lot of problems in puzzles such as this. You know, there are 120 combinations in between 5 ghosts like this, and even if you're on the right track with only 1 or 2 switched, you still might be inclined, you know, to try a few different things, like maybe in the exact opposite order, if you were close to the right answer, but not quite, you know? Anyway, what we were supposed to do first is actually to talk to this guy. That little epitaph was not a clue, but he will give you a hint as to what you're supposed to do with those 5 saints. Say he basically informs you that you're supposed to speak to them in the order of decreasing respect, so to speak, but since we did that already, we just go right back and talk to him, and he'll give us the same spiel a second time, but this time he'll also ask us a question. Here, any minute now. There we go. Have you paid your respect to the saints? Yes, by some definition, I suppose. That solves this first puzzle. Again, already fairly difficult, especially compared to what would barely qualify as puzzles in the coal mine, which basically amounted to finding keys, hitting switches, and remembering not to hit the same switch a second time. It was basically as difficult as it got. I guess the hardest puzzle was just jumping on the stupid generator at the very end of the dungeon. This one already starts off with a fairly difficult puzzle. And I believe that monologue adequately filled up the time for the saints to open the freaking door for us. Moving on. Here rests Alundra. Ooh, scary. I think the game is speaking to me. Anyway, it's basically just a trigger for this combat sequence. Yeah, listen to that freaky zombie moan. Those guys charge at you like crazy, and they will go all the way across the screen. They also do 2 points of damage, and I am terrible at timing interrupting the charge attack correctly. Combat for me against them is actually rather difficult, unfortunately, so let's use an herb, because triggering this sequence gives you access to 2 chests containing herbs. This game really does make sure that you're at 9 herbs as soon as humanly possible. The other enemies we don't see very often in the game, the Grim Reaper guys, they throw their sides at you, but only for 1 point of damage. And they don't take very many hits. Yeah, of course, the switch going forward is broken. It's always broken. I don't even know why they bothered putting it there. Again, second one in this episode alone, there were several in the mines. So you notice we get 2 hints here, one about a rising shadow and the sun moving, and this one is... Here we go. Left is left, right is right. The game is getting difficult enough that they're not even giving us the clues relatively close to, or sort of immediately next to, where the puzzles are actually situated. So, we've gotten to the point where we actually sort of actively have to take notes, reminding ourselves for later when to apply specific puzzles to, you know, combinations of switches. You can imagine that this particular room is one of them, because you can see 2 switches in the upper ledge, but we're not concerned with that right now. What we want to do is kill these zombies, making sure that that barrel is in the water before we jump down, because we will not be able to jump back up and get it. We can use this to access this last chest over here, because we cannot jump up to a barrel from the water. We have to be on the little platform, and over here we can get an herb, and that's basically all we have to do here. We're not really supposed to be down here, it's just here by accident in case we fall down that little hole, which we chose to do on purpose. But that should give you a good setting for what this dungeon is like overall. We'll cover the rest of it on the next episode of Let's Play Alundra, and hopefully get a clue what's going on in the game overall when we meet Lars. I'll see you then.